Good morning and welcome to our midday program here on WDIV, Click On Detroit, Local 4 Facebook page. Also live streaming on Click On, your #1 destination for news and information in the Motor City and beyond. Today, speaking of Motor City, UAW strike against General Motors, of course setting the scene for the other automakers as well. The strike is entering its second week, has entered its second week as negotiations continue between the union and the automaker. Well, the leaders of UAW decided to initiate the strike Sunday, September 15th, as contract negotiations went beyond a weekend deadline. So nearly 50,000 workers at GM plants across the country are involved. It is the union's first strike since 2007. So 33 plants are shut down in 9 states. There's 22 parts distribution warehouses that are also affected. Workers are on strike, as if you didn't already know, to secure fair wages, affordable health care, a profit-sharing arrangement that they deem equitable, job security, and a defined path to permanent seniority for temps. Basically, what you have is a situation where a guy who's a veteran, he's on the line doing the exact same job as a temporary worker, and GM is the union alleges that GM is keeping these people temporary for a fraction of the salary that the veteran guys are making. And since one for all for one, the veteran guys say, hey, this isn't right, that this guy's making so little compared to me. He's my union brother or sister, and he needs to be brought up to speed, as it were. Now, GM's CEO Mary Barra has pronounced an all-electric future. The company plans to introduce 20 new all-electric vehicle models by 2023. Now, think about that. We're on the cusp of 2020, so we're talking within the next 3 years. Certainly within 4, so say 3 to 4 years. The transition to electric vehicles poses the possibility of job loss in the auto industry. There are fewer parts that go into an electric vehicle. Think about the internal combustion engine and all the intricate parts, the machinery, the machining that needs to be done, all the exhaust, the manifold, all of that goes away when you have an electric vehicle. So again, fewer parts means fewer people needed to create those parts and install those parts on the assembly line. And fewer workers will be needed to keep the vehicles running once sold, which means fewer profits for dealerships and their mechanics. You'll recall that the age-old joke was that it's not the dealer, it's the stealer, because they make all of their money charging you exorbitant rates to fix your car when it runs into a problem. They're not making the money in the showroom, they're making the money in the service department. And so there's going to be a trickle-down effect that will spread out like tentacles into the economy, coming from this electrification of vehicles in the future. So in contract talks, GM has offered to build an electrical vehicle battery factory in Lordstown in Ohio. As you might recall from the name, you've heard the name Lordstown. GM ended production there earlier this year. They had 1,400 workers at the time of the closure. So the automaker announced last November that it would close 4 U.S. plants and another in Canada, cutting 8,000 U.S. salaried and contract jobs. So getting top pay at Lordstown is crucial for the union, as battery jobs could one day supplant powertrain factory jobs, as I just said. So right now, electric vehicles that are fully electric, like plug-in and that's it, make up only 1.5% of U.S. vehicle sales. Of course, they're saying by 2049 it could be half the market.
Yeah, and 2049, that seems quite far off, but in the grand scheme of things,
it's a blip.
Yeah, and something as huge as the auto industry. Also, 50% is a big number, when you really think about these things.
Yep, and I'm loading to see what you're saying on the Facebook. See what the comments are. There we go. Ed says, no way a new worker should get paid the same after I've been with any company for 5+ years. James got sent home 4 hours early today because of the strike. So there are ripple effects going out to parts, suppliers, anything remotely connected to the production of a General Motors vehicle. Obviously, there's going to be this sort of effect. John Baxter says, power to the people. Wade says, strike needs to end. I need my car fixed. And they said, I can't get the parts I need to fix the car. Well, how about that? There's that angle as well.
Yeah, that too.
So Amazon apparently has ordered 100,000 electric vans from Plymouth auto company Rivian. Full disclosure, a good friend of mine who I played golf with yesterday and will again today is going to work for Rivian. So I'm aware of its existence, and when you get an order from Amazon for 100,000 electric vans, well, your profile just got raised.
Yeah, I would say so.
The electric delivery van is new, previously unannounced vehicle for the company. The company has 2 electrics, an SUV and a pickup, set for release in 2021. In April, Ford announced it will use Rivian's technology to build an electric vehicle. The fleet of vehicles could save about 4 million metric tons of CO2 from being released into the atmosphere each year, according to Amazon. So the vehicles are part of the company's plan to meet the Paris Agreement 10 years early. Amazon is looking to get to net zero carbon emissions by 2040, and Jeff Bezos said, if a company with as much physical infrastructure as Amazon, which delivers more than 10 billion items a year, can meet the Paris Accord 10 years early, then certainly anybody can. Now, as a side note to that, I would also point out that if you go to the journalism aggregation website, longform.org, there is a long-form article about Amazon and how it farms out its delivery to third-party suppliers so that it is insulated in case somebody delivering its products gets into a crash, kills somebody, maims somebody. Amazon's insulated because, that's a third-party contractor delivering that package. That's not us.
Huh.
So it's interesting to me that Amazon would order 100,000 electric vans when technically they are not the ones covering that last mile.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the long-term goal for a company like Amazon right now is, they're also going to be looking at autonomous vehicles. That combined with, electric vehicles coming to prominence, I think whatever way you slice it, there are huge, massive changes coming quickly to the auto industry. And it's going to be a lot of changes.
It used to be that our state was as high as 25% of our GDP in Michigan relied upon the auto industry. So that's a fairly significant amount. I heard on the radio either yesterday afternoon or this morning that it's more like 8% now. So we're not quite as dependent on the car as we used to be. In fact, I think at least a decade ago, our leading industry became healthcare. Hospitals, medicine was Michigan's chief economic player or employer. And automotive is down to 8% of our GDP. So it'll be interesting to see how our state and Detroit in general, Lansing, Flint, responds to the electrification of the U.S. Consumer automotive fleet, as it were. But we invite you to continue making your comments and having a healthy exchange of ideas as we let the live stream play out a little bit longer here. Thank you to those of you who have stopped by and watched this and commented thus far. And we'll be back at it later this week. We'll see you again.